Hi, my name is Frank and I'm from Queen Games and I'm here to introduce you to our new game, Old London Bridge. It's designed by Gabriele Bubula and Leo Coluvini. It's a game for 2 to 4 players and takes about 60 minutes to play. Let's take a look. You take on the role of architects tasked to rebuild the Old London Bridge, which was destroyed in a big fire. This time the foundation is made from stone instead of wood, sturdier to support the many buildings you will build on it. Each of you are responsible for one section of the bridge, so naturally a contest breaks out to see who can design the best section and earn the most coins. Before we go over the gameplay, let's have a quick overview about the main element of the game, which revolves around the 6 buildings you see on the game board. Each building comes with 3 traits. First, they each have a unique number between 60 and 1. This number is very important for the building rules. Second, each building has a specific action that is triggered once you place the building onto your bridge. These actions could be getting coins, advancing on tracks, or getting new character cards. And lastly, there's a crest on top of the building. That determines how powerful your triggered action is. The more crests of the same color you have on your bridge, the more powerful the action becomes. Let's take a look over the building rules. In each round you will choose one of the 6 buildings and place it onto your bridge. The buildings are built from left to right on your bridge, and the first building goes to the leftmost space. If you choose a building, it goes to the next free space, but only if the number shown on the building is lower than the number on the previous building. In this case, I could just place it on the next free space and continue with the building action. If I had chosen a building with a higher number, in this case the 44 instead of the 41, I have to tear down one of my existing buildings and replace it with a new one. In this case, I could replace the 41 with the 44. The rule here is that the line of buildings have to be in descending number order. If I build a park, which has no number, it can always go on the next free space. The next building I choose can have any number, for example the 36, because now I start a new line of buildings, but also in descending number order. And these are all the building rules. Let's go over the gameplay. Old London Bridge is played over 12 rounds, and in the end of the last round an endgame scoring takes place. Whomever has the most coins then will be the winner. Each round consists of 3 phases. The first phase is the game round preparation. You flip over the next game round marker, which has a number. That tells you how many spaces you have to rotate the rondel in the middle. The next phase then is determining the player order. Each player chooses one of their hand cards which have a value between 0 and 4 and places it face down in front of them. Once every player has chosen, we reveal the cards. The player who has played the highest cards will go first, the player with the second highest card second, and so on and so forth. If there's a tie, you look over to the chapel track. Which player is further ahead will go first. And in the third phase, it's all about the buildings. You choose a building, you place that building, and then you take the specific action. Let's dive deeper into phase 3. First, you have to choose a building. Therefore, you take your pawn and you have 2 possibilities. You can either place your pawn on one of the outer spaces. If you place it there, you take the depicted number of coins from the supply and the adjacent building. Or you take your pawn and place it in the middle of the rondel. There you don't gain any coins, you actually have to pay 2 coins to place your pawn there. But you have the benefit that you can now choose any of the 6 buildings. There's just 2 more little rules. Firstly, you cannot place your pawn on the space with the X. And you cannot place your pawn on a space where that is already occupied by a pawn, meaning you have fewer choices. Once you have chosen your building, you have to place it onto your bridge, following the building rules that we have discussed earlier. Once you placed it, you now trigger the specific action. But first you have to see how strong the action is. That is done by you looking at the crest of the just placed building, in this case it's the blue crest, and now you count up all the blue crests on your bridge, in this case 3, that is your action strength. Depending on the building, the action strength has different effects. Let's take a closer look at each building. Let's start with the haberdasher. Here you gain coins. You gain 1 coin for each action strength you have. Next is the bridge gate. In the bridge gate, you advance on the bridge gate track. You advance as many spaces as you have action strengths. If you land on or pass by one of the bonus spaces, you can choose one of the bonus tiles. These bonus tiles have powerful one-shot abilities that you can use on your turn. There are things like you can place your pawn on the X space, or you can advance on different tracks. Next, the chapel. On the chapel, you advance on the chapel track, also according to your action strengths. If you land on a space or pass by a space that shows coins, you take that amount of coins from the supply. Additionally, the chapel track breaks all ties, meaning if you have a tie in turn order or even at endgame scoring, the player who is further ahead or on top of a pile will win that tie. Then we go on to the hostelry. Here you get new character cards. You need new character cards because each card you play is returned to the supply. The action strength determines how many cards and of what value you can take. Next is the guild house. It doesn't have an immediate action, but makes each consecutive action more powerful because it shows all 4 crests at the top. And lastly, the park. The park can always be built on a free space, and it starts a new line of buildings with descending house numbers. Once the last round is played, it's time for the endgame scoring. Here are 4 categories in which you can earn some bonus points. Firstly, if you are in the first place, second or third place on the bridge gate and chapel track, you can earn 5, 3 and 1 points respectively. Then each player counts up their character cards, the values on them. Whoever has the highest value will earn 5 points, second place 3 and third place 1 point. Then you count up the number of buildings you have on your bridge. The player with the highest number of buildings will gain 5 points, second place 3 and third place 1 point. Lastly, you lose some points for free spaces on your bridge. If you have replaced many buildings during the game, you lose many coins. Then every player totals up their coins, and whoever has the highest total wins the game. For more information about Old London Bridge, check out the videos and download the rules here on the page. Thank you for watching.